Welcome back to Winni Recap. Today I'm going to explain a movie called Big Brother, which came out in 2018. It's a Hong Kong action drama movie. The movie has a 78% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is an impressive score. It's about an ex-Marine who returns to his home country and starts to teach in a school. He uses a very unusual method to reach out to his class of most ill-behaved kids. He also has to deal with a greedy entrepreneur who's trying to acquire the land of school. Overall, it's a very unique film and a good watch. But before we begin, beware of spoilers, watch out and take care, and I hope you enjoy the video. The movie begins and we see a man named Henry Chen who has come back home to Hong Kong from the US after serving in US Marine Corps for many years. He wants to start his career as a teacher and he goes to his first school, Tak Chi Elementary School. The current principals see that he has no experience in teaching, but Henry has a recommendation letter from a higher official and the previous principal of the school at Henry time. He is the one who persuaded Henry to teach at his alma mater. Due to the letter, Henry gets the job before he leaves the principal and tells him that the class is being given to teach is one of the worst classes in the school. The next morning is his first class. Henry goes to the class and he sees that there's great disorder in the class. No one even acknowledges his presence. Henry tries to gain their attention and talks to them, but they pretend like they're not even hearing him. He stops talking and starts to roam around in the class. He starts to comment on their specific interests. He advises students who are cooking ramen to decrease their intake of ramen as it has high concentration of sodium. After that, he goes near to the student playing a video game and asks him about his high score and educate him about radiation he's being exposed to. When students finally start to listen to him, then he introduces himself and writes his name and contact number on the board. He's not writing right, so students start to laugh at him. Then the student from the class calls him and asks him to leave the class. When he looks back, all students are holding their phones to their ear, so he has no idea who it was. Instead of getting angry, Henry starts to laugh. Students start to ignore him again and continue with their activities they were doing. Henry uses a rubber band to shoot a piece of chalk at the water sprinkler and everyone gets wet, and he officially welcomes all the students in his class. After the class, a group of 5 lowest-ranking students goes to the sports supply room to smoke. The leader of the group is Jack Huang. Jack has a crush on A-grade student in another class. Other students show him a pic of her and tease him. The student of the group had an issue with a rich kid on the school basketball team. The basketball team comes to the supply room and they bully and belittle Jack like they used to do for his poor financial condition. Later, Jack and his friends see them practicing basketball. Jack throws a bottle on the court and the team leader slips on it and falls. The group starts to laugh, but the English teacher punishes them with detention and they plan a prank to be free from punishment. And when she's cleaning her desk, they all run away from the detention room. The principal gets very stressed, and due to this, as the education board gives the 20% funding to the school, and a few members of the board are on tour of the school and they want to learn where the school fund is being used. Henry is now going to class and the students have prepared a prank. They have set a bucket filled with water on the door, which will fall on Henry's head as he will open the door. But when Henry enters the class, he punches the falling bucket away, making their prank a failure. All the students get shocked. Henry asks Jack to give him his cigarette pack as he's aware of his smoking habit. Jack gives him the pack and starts to wonder what he will do with it. He asks about any 3 ingredients of a cigarette. A student who gives the right answer is allowed to skip class for a day. All students start to bang on the desk, asking to skip the class. He then passes a cigarette to everyone and asks them to analyze it. He knows that if he directly told them about the negative effects, they will not pay attention. That's why he asks the students about this and explains how tar affects their lungs. This is the first time students have paid attention and taken interest in the class. After the class, he asks the students to return the cigarettes. Later, the captain of the basketball team messes with Jack's friend Bruce and a fight starts in the cafeteria. Henry learns that 5 students in his class are temporarily suspended due to the fight. He finds Jack fighting with his opponents in the hall and he separates them and asks Jack to calm down. Jack blames the school that they do not punish the rich kids. After school, Henry checks the files of these 5 students to get the better understanding of them. The first student is Zufa. He is the son of a Pakistani immigrant and that's why he is discriminated against. He is even accused of stealing from his neighborhood multiple times and his dream is to be a musician. The second student is Denon. She is a tomboy. Her father wanted a boy and she spent all her life trying to earn the respect of her dad. She started to behave and dress like a boy and even started to play with cars. But still, her father didn't care about her and treated her younger brother like a prince. Two students are brothers, Bruce and his younger brother Chris. Their mother abandoned them and eloped with someone when they were young, and their father became an alcohol addict. Bruce is suffering from ADHD and Chris is addicted to online games. The fifth student is Jack, but Henry does not find any family background or information about him. In the next scene, we see that Jack works as a waiter in the restaurant, where an MMA bettor is present with his business partner. When he is not looking, Jack steals something from him, but he gets caught and the bettor's men beat him. They check his ID and see that he's a student and then give him some money and also offer him a job as a food delivery man. Henry visits Zufa's house. He sees that Zufa is running from his dad and his fellows after stealing a ticket from them. Henry helps him, but after learning the reason, he sides with his dad. He and Zufa go to a bridge. He wants to motivate Zufa no matter what. There, Henry starts to perform with a street band on the bridge, and a little later Zufa also joins him. And after being bullied a lot in school, it's his first time performing in front of a crowd. Bruce and Chris's dad return home late and ask them to bring him a beer from the store. When they deny, he screams at them and asks them to leave. The next day, Henry meets their dad and asks him to go to rehab for his kids. Danon's father buys a makeup bag for her and asks her to behave like a girl. Danon gets angry at this, as she's always made to feel like she's not good. She applies all the makeup on her younger brother, takes the car keys and runs. She was about to drive when Henry stops her and says that it's illegal to drive without a license and provides her with alternatives in the form of go-kart racing. She participates in go-kart racing. Henry also invites her dad and asks him to race. During the race, they show no mercy to each other and end outside the track at the end. Danon's go-kart is hit by a wagon and thankfully she's safe. Unaware of this, her father mourns her loss and realizes how much he loves her. When he sees her safe, he gets happy and hugs her. The next day, Bruce and Chris accompany a group to a rehabilitation center to interview an alcoholic in recovery. When they get there, they're surprised to see their dad is the one they're interviewing. Students ask him how he started drinking, and he tells the story of how his wife left him. He says that he also neglected his two kids. He does not tell the group that he is Bruce and Chris's father, but he apologizes to them and cries. Jack is working for the bettor and he offers Jack a lot of money. If he gives the fighters spiked drinks in the next game, Jack do not want to do this because he is forced to accept the offer. The bettor sponsors his fighter and bets on him losing. He asks Jack to spike the drink, but he gets caught before he could out the bettor. They start to beat him, trap him in a locker. Henry gets there, he fights them and even beats their best fighter who was about to fight. Now they are in the hospital and Henry is being treated for his injuries. Jack wants to out the bettor, but he's made to shut down. Now the TV shows the news how Henry beaten a professional fighter to protect his student, and he gets very popular in the school, and students start to respect him. In flashbacks, he sees that Henry was a prankster in his school days. He throws a water balloon at a student playing piano for his parents. In an event, he gets in a fight with Henry and his hands get fractured in the fight, and Henry is suspended. Students are now respecting Henry and working hard for college entrance. All are working hard except Bruce, who got addicted to pills, whereas Chris found relief in games. He got addicted to pills. As he's not able to focus on his studies, he performs badly in a mock entrance test. Henry promised to help him, but Bruce got more depressed over time and he jumped from his house balcony. He's taken to the hospital, but he gets into a coma. The media blames the school and Henry for this. His teaching license is revoked, and when he is leaving, all the school students see him off. And they know if they perform well in the upcoming test, he will be proud. And they start to work harder so they can show the education board that Henry is a very good teacher. On the day of the test, Jack and all the students get a text from Henry that he wants to meet them 1 hour before the test in the school. When they get there, they learn the bettor planned to trap the kids in school so they couldn't reach the exam hall on time. He did this to take revenge from Henry. After some time, Henry gets to school and learns of his plan, and he fights them and frees the students. Henry fights the bettor and he tells him that he is Kane Lo, the same kid that Henry pranked and also fractured his hand. Because of that, he becomes unable to become a pianist. He blames Henry. Henry tries to tell him the reason, but he attacks Henry. Henry beats him and apologizes for what he did and leaves. Students perform well on the test and Kane Lu also starts to play piano, but he requires huge practice. Bruce also starts to recover and he promises to pass the entry test next year. Principal is also happy as the board has approved a 20% bonus fund as the students have performed well. Henry returns and takes on his new batch, performing the fire sprinkler trick, and the movie ends. To watch more explanations of these kind of movies, click on the video on your screen, and don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comment section down below. Kindly like the video and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss any new videos. And at last, I will say stay safe, stay well. Thank you so much for watching.